Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody inside and outside the ballpark. My name is NovedPlayer, and welcome to episode 65 of the Noved Notes podcast, where we talk to many different creators and communities inside the platform. I'm your host, and with me today, I have one of the amazing world creators who shows an amazing world that belongs to so many communities, groups, all that stuff. We have the creator of Furry Hideout. We have Lieutenant Shadow.
Hi.
Welcome on. Hope you're doing well.
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, of course. So first and foremost, for the general listening audience, what exactly do you do inside of VRChat?
Well, I currently run and manage the most popular furry world within VRChat. It's called the Furry Hideout. The Furry Hideout's been part of the community for the last 4 years. We actually hit our 4-year mark around 3 days ago. So it's definitely been a fun, wild ride. It's been enjoyable watching it grow and change over the years.
Definitely. And absolutely congrats on 4 years. That's a long time considering, with how long VRChat, that's, 4/10 of how long VRChat's been around.
Oh my god, it's 10 years old already. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's almost 11 years old now. Funny enough.
Yeah,
It's crazy to think about.
it's amazing.
So obviously, with the Furry Hideout, what was kind of the start of you wanting to make a world inside of VRChat?
Well, everyone starts from somewhere. I specifically started with avatars because when you're in a furry community, you gotta have a custom avatar. You need to show off and have something that's your own. And I couldn't use public avatars all the time because public avatars don't have as much life to them that you want to give them. So creating a custom avatar helps you personalize it and make it more of your own than anything. So I did that for a long time, did a couple commissions, got my first VR headset, then I started working on worlds after because I wanted to learn more. I wanted more knowledge. I wanted to just generally do more. And the world started after a bunch of free time because COVID can't really do too much. So I was at home a lot, so I was learning and just made different versions of the world. If you want, I can send you some photos of the OG ones. Oof, they're ugly.
Yeah,
But it was a
sure.
start.
Yeah, we'll throw some stuff on the screen, videos, anything you got. Well, that's cool though. Like obviously with VRChat and how it's progressed over the years, obviously there's been some changes. I guess kind of one of the questions I wanted to ask to start off, what was one of the biggest changes to VRChat that you kind of may have had a struggle with when it comes to like making the world or any updates that kind of broke the world, whatever the case may be?
Chat has evolved so much over the last 4 years. A lot has changed overall. You got stuff from EAC, the UI updates, the system updates, the way roles populate, how popular they are, etc. You have groups, which really just change the aspect of community within my community, which is really cool overall. But I would say the most important ones are going to be the groups and age verification. Age verification allowed adults to be with adults, which is what people need. Groups allowed for better generalized moderation, but groups are a little bit more interesting than that.
No, absolutely. Because obviously it gives more power to the players and the communities behind them. Because obviously with your world, it is a chill hangout spot where people can relax, meet new people. So obviously when it came to the origins of it, and obviously there's been many videos that you've released on the YouTube channel, kind of showing back then, and then what it is now. So what was like the inspiration behind the world layout and essentially how it started?
So the way the road was set up was originally it was just a house floating in the endless void. It was literally just there to have a place you can sit, a place where you can put photos on the wall, and a place that was kind of unused, but then over time it evolved and changed. Because originally it looks kind of similar to what it is now, but the rooms were repurposed, changed, updated. I could show you all those photos. You'll see the differences, and it's amazing how much has changed from me actually learning more, talking to people, finding more understanding of how Unity works and how to optimize. So overall, it just in an over I'm gonna have a stroke. A continuous evolving world that's just been changing over the last 4 years. It's had around 2,000 plus updates. Specifically, that's the counter that VRChat has, and the update counter itself is counting Quest and PC, so it's around 1,000 updates within the last 4 years, which is oof, a little bit too much. I'm gonna be honest.
Fair enough. I actually didn't know that it counts it separately. I always thought it was one single one if you do both platforms. It does count a separate upload each time? I didn't know that.
It should count as separate, yes.
Fair
I
enough.
think
I
it
guess
does.
that's
I'm gonna have to double check. I'm gonna say it's better if it does count it separately because 2,000 updates is a little bit much for the last 4 years. That would be almost an update each year. Well, each day, which I'm not that close to it. It's
fair
probably
enough.
like if you're lucky, once a week. Once a week.
Oh, fair enough. And obviously, because you've made different versions of the world too for like events, whether it's like your own community's events or some collaborative events, there's obviously some major differences. So, kind of to go through them a little bit, because you've obviously done, you're the regular furry hideout at first. But you also done one for like New Year's. You've also done one for um, like I guess concert events, I guess, because I know you've had some concert groups in your worlds and stuff. Um, so what kind of made you want to do different versions of the world for these events?
So each year we do a New Year's event. That's what the New Year's worlds are for. They're supposed to allow people to come into the Furry Hideout, be with their friends on New Year's. Because a lot of people they connect through VRChat. They're meeting people here, and this is where their majority um, of their friends are is in VRChat. So if they come into the Furry Hideout on New Year's and chill with their friends, hell yeah, they allow us to give them music, fireworks, a countdown, etc. And oh my god, it's always beautiful going around in each instance, and everybody's like, "Happy New Year's, Happy New Year's." You got the drunk people in the corner screaming "Happy New Year's." They're always so sweet, always so nice, and just everybody enjoying themselves. And that's something we plan on doing each and every year because it's another year that we're here, another year that we have done stupid shit, another year we have done amazing things, another year of us doing something more than what we did last year. So it's always nice to celebrate those facts and look towards the future and be like, hey, this year's over. Let's do some more next year. It's always something I look
No,
forward to.
yeah, absolutely. You know, as VR chat grows each year, like New Year's is one of the biggest events for VR chat in general. It always has the highest player concurrent counts. 9 times out of 10, the servers crash. Actually, it didn't this year.
Not this year. Not this
Not
year.
this year.
It's amazing.
We didn't deal with it this year. No, I was so happy about that. I know the past couple of years around the Central Time New Year's is when exactly it would shut down. It's like like, but luckily this year VRChat did it right. Thanks VRChat. Love you guys.
They did a good job.
Yeah, absolutely. So, because New Year's aside, there are other events that your guys that you hold in the world. So what are some of the examples of some of the events like you do outside of like the New Year's event?
Well, recently we did the collaborative event with VRChat relating to VRAT for the invasion. That was more of a just fun getting communities together, getting everybody organized for that specific event. Because originally I did it last year by myself for the VRAT event. I originally did it myself. It was kind of limp. All I did was change the logo on the world, call it VRAT Hideout, script out the name, etc. And then like I believe in November of last year, I was talking with a bunch of friends in VC. It was one of the beer chat discords, and we were just conversing, going back and forth, talking about April Fools and how we should do a stupid joke. One of them said we should do a furry hideout invasion, turn every world into a furry world for April 1st. I'm like, nah, let's not do that. We already got enough furry worlds. That would be a little bit of a pain in the ass to an extent. Let's do a VRAT invasion. And they're like, oh yeah, we love that. That's a cool idea. A friend of mine made the Discord, and since he made the Discord, he gave me permissions in there, and I organized almost all the event. I've had a lot of help during the event. I talked to Flair and got them involved, and Flair was very pivotal at getting everything organized and helping me with VRChat related to the VRChat model. Since VRChat's technically one of the mascots for VRChat, we had to make sure we were in legal bounds to use it for this event. And once we got Flair on board, people just started pouring in. We have like 100 people in the Discord, all community owners and world creators, and actually watching them work together and do stupid, goofy shit like Pick a PD, doing the animations, Virtual Furrence, doing all the other stuff, and then like generally just the way the community came together, and they were all just doing it for the goofiness. It was so enjoyable, and it was one of my most enjoyed events working on it. And after that, we voted for the best role. We did an internal vote because we don't want the popular roles to get a generalized bias percentage when we voted. So we did a vote within the Discord, and Virtual Ferns got first place. Second place was fuck is that role called? Zombie Survival, aka Rat Survival, and then third was Crazy M's World, Spook 'em Up.
Yep.
And VRChat came in after everything because I did a little thing just to make sure everybody's getting engaged. I said, I'll give $100 to the best creator and we'll vote. But then about a week before we started voting, I got messaged by the person that created the VRChat. They put down money. Flair put down money. Talix put down money. And so did Psy. They all put down money. So total, we had like $500 to give out to the best world creators of that event. And it was really enjoyable. And a couple bucks to Pick a PD for all his contributions, because he did a lot.
Absolutely. But if y'all haven't seen the episode with Pika PD, he goes a lot more in depth with the animation system and all of that stuff. So definitely make sure to go check out that episode. There'll probably be a little thing like somewhere up here, probably. But yeah, definitely go make sure to check that episode out. The system, he actually showed me that before the VRChat takeover, and it was crazy. And then he showed me like some of the updates after the fact, where now like they can attack you and do all this crazy stuff. There's some cool things coming from that. I'm definitely excited to see if you guys do something similar like in future years, what he might have cooking in that front.
Well, it would be cool to see. Working with the systems was very fun. He's very talented, especially before when it wasn't completely finished. The rats, as you said, the new version has the rats attack you. That was something that they were always able to do. We just didn't implement it due to the fact that they would be obnoxious and annoying. But watching them attack you and say kaboom was very fun and interesting, especially when they jump towards Tupper or like one of the VRChat devs just because they have an extra aggro meter towards them. It's funny as hell.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It was definitely a really cool thing to see, like the VRChat community come together with. All these different things that they did for the worlds and whatnot. So funny enough, I'm about to leak myself here. I actually got leaked into the server by one of the world creators. I was too late to jump in on the bandwagon for like putting it in world, which I was like, damn, like it is like days before, and I'm like, damn, oops. So if I would have known, I would have definitely like partaked, but it was cool to kind of see everyone kind of come together and like come together as a community to do something like that. It was really cool. So I guess kind of one of the things in that regard, since we're talking about the whole VRChat event, so what kind of, well, let me rephrase that. So out of all the worlds that did partake, because obviously you did, like we already talked about, you had the voting system, but was there one in particular that you personally enjoyed when it come to all that?
Okay, so what's that world called? Blackfire. I think it's called Blackfire. The giant world with the big old black holes. They won the thing pretty recently. Just going in there and hearing the rat song that they did. When it's like cheese, cheese, cheese. It was like a really nice melody, and they put a lot of effort into it. It was funny. It's funny. That was one of my favorites because it was the most well put together shit post. If you want to call it that.
That's fair. Well, that's cool. I would say, yeah, because obviously a lot of worlds had their own spin on it. Like even Uganda had the spin on it. That was actually one of the first ones I had saw was Uganda because I'm good friends with Lego. It was goofy to say the least. Um, but anyways, kind of to move away from the rats. Um, so obviously when it yeah, when it kind of comes to the world with Furry Hideout now, obviously you now have all these different areas that you have compared to what it used to be just that room. So what kind of inspired you to make these different sections of the world?
Well, the world itself over time has changed, and so originally the spawn was upstairs in the main building, then it got pushed down lower, so it's out of the way. And when people load in, they're not instantly thrown into a group of people that are hanging around spawn. It allows people to spread out. Um, the world itself has just evolved to a point where creatively I get to do whatever I want. As long as the community enjoys it, I'll keep doing it. For example, we added recently we added a little airfield where there's a bunch of time trials. We got a time trial community where they go do speed runs for the tracks that are in roll. We have a drone flight system, so you can go do drone races. We have the downstairs cave where not many people use, but it's there. So if you want to get away from the majority of the crowds, you can go down there with a select group of friends and chill out. Not that many people go down there, so it's a perfect place to relax and get away from everybody. You also got the moon. They're all just basically spaces you can spread out to and bring your friends. Boxing people in is great for conversations, but not everybody wants to be boxed in. Some people just want to go with a certain group of friends and chill out for a bit. Maybe meet a random stranger once in a while. So it itself is just a bunch of extra space that you can use if you want to. It does keep you consolidated in the main area because that's where all your friends are, but there's also enough room for you to, oh, well, look, there's a cool area over there. Spread out, walk over there, and discover something new.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's always good to have, a variety of spaces. Like you had mentioned, the whole, boxed in. Yeah, it is kind of nice to have a more open area that people can kind of do whatever, really. Um, and you definitely do a good job in doing that. So, kind of in the regard of, open spaces and stuff, because obviously, um, with the main floor area when you first spawn in, you have this giant open area, with the giant furry hideout sign. Was there any use for that, or was it just kind of just a big open area?
Which
So I mean,
areas? Can you?
yeah, if you go like from spawn, if you go like strictly right, like where it's like this big like wooden floor, um, there's like the dumpster, and then like there's this like big open area. It's hard to explain now. I'm thinking about it. There'll be footage on the screen, but
I think I know what you're talking about.
yeah,
The room that's right next to the giant glass wall with the paint and art and stuff in there. Or are you talking about like a different area?
outside on the outside, the big
It's
outdoor
on the
area.
outside. So
Yeah.
then you have the ramps that go up. You talking about that area, correct? So ramps that go up to the roof.
No. So it has like you like passage. Man, this is a lot harder to explain. So like there's you spawn in right, you immediately turn right, and there's like the tree. You walk past the tree, and then there's like giant open area.
Oh, wood floor. Then there's a giant logo, etc.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That area was originally where we took most of our group photos when we would do multi-instance group photos since we couldn't fit everybody into one instance. We'll have people like literally shuffle into a corner of the world, and then like 40 people in one spot, then another 40 in another spot, then 40 in another spot, then 40 in another spot. Then we would take the photos and then composite them together so everybody can get in the group photo. Oh, my tracker might have died. Oh, I folded a little bit. So originally, that was a place where we just took photos for our group events. That's why it's so large and kind of empty.
Fair enough. Yeah, I was say obviously, because you have many different groups that use your worlds, and that's definitely a good use of that giant area for giant photos. Um, yeah, that's cool. I'll say there's so you kind of already touched a little bit on it, as we were trying to figure out what we were talking about. um, so obviously there are a lot of arts and stuff kind of spread out through the world and little Easter eggs. So words are hard. English is hard. Um, so what kind of inspired like some of the arts that are like portrayed around the world?
So the logos themselves are specifically created by one talented artist by the name of Winnie the Dork. They specifically made the logos, the basically everything that you can use to discern that it's Furry Hideout related. But like for example, the mural, the giant rock mural, that was made by a good friend of mine by the name of Axis. He's a really good artist. I asked him for a cave painting, like a spirit cave painting, because the spirit itself was kind of a little creature, part of the lore of the world. And I asked for a cave painting, so he made one specifically for that. Adds to the lore, gives people a visual reference slash cue so they can look at it.
Well, that's cool. That there's different artists that you've had, make stuff, across the world. And obviously there's also like, some hidden Easter eggs around the map. Because I know not many people may know this for like the newer players, but I know there was like a lore when it comes to like the world itself. I guess kind of for the people who may not know, do you kind of want to go a little bit into that and like what like some of the lore is of the map? Storyline, I
Well, I'm
guess.
just gonna say, the world has updates related to lore multiple different times, and they were kind of like in-world events. People call them Fortnite events. I hate Fortnite because they ruined that. They ruined that for me. But I did like little events, little Easter egg hunts, little things as homages for Easter eggs, general aesthetics, and etc. It allows people to like explore and figure out the lore of the world. And I need to like actually write up more extensive stuff related to it because it itself is just kind of a mess at the moment, minus the events. The events have been very interesting. People enjoyed them. People laughed at them, etc. Not that many people remember them. Like they're not as memorable, but them themselves were very enjoyable to work on. When it comes to the art and world, you got the giant spirit kind of cave painting that was made by my friend Axis. Overall, it's just a cute piece of art that alludes to that lore. Also, you got the art within the room. That's like okay. If you're going up towards the roof, you got these ramps and steps. If you go below that, there's a room, glass on each side, walls heading out to the outside. Inside that room is kind of a place where we celebrate art. Each month, we select an artist, and then we promote those artists for free. Their art goes up on the wall. They give us 4 pieces. We toss it up, and then we advertise them. Just because the community always needs good artists. It also helps the artists that are struggling. It does. Um, Overall, all the art was made by one talented being by the name of Winnie the Dork or Donk. I call him Dork because they are a dork. And they have made our logos for the last year. They also make different types of art related to like 3D modeling, renders, etc. They always make some really beautiful art, and I would pay them any day for decent pieces of art. So go hit them up.
What he said. We'll throw their name
I
right
got a stroke when I said
here.
it.
We'll have their name right here.
Right here,
Right here.
right here.
Well, that's what's up. And obviously, it's kind of cool that you have different artists featured, because that shows that it does feature not only certain things, but also features the community in its own right too, which is very nice. That not a lot of worlds really take advantage of. You have your like paid advertisements, fair, make your bag, but not many worlds showcase stuff from the community. which is kind of nice.
We only have one paid advertisement.
Fair enough.
And like, okay, so if you go into World, you'll see those little poster boards that have animated kind of posters. That's from the LPD, Crazium, a couple small little groups and communities that, like, I know they're great communities, so I want to promote them, so they're promoted for free. The only people that are charged is a tracker company called Semantic VR. They do similar to Slime Trackers. I know them because a lot of the people that are currently within their higher echelon, if you want to call it that, their high staff and all that, the people that work there, they used to be a part of the Furry Hideout community. So I know them from experience, and I know their trackers are good, and they actually deliver on them. So I actually, I took money from them because they're a business. They're profiting off
It's a
the Furry
corporate
Hideout
thing.
community. I might as well. Yeah, it's a corporate thing. You might as well take a little bit from them.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And, it don't even pay that much. You make them pay more.
Yeah. But I mean, it's really cool overall that, it showcases so many different things going on within VRChat. Because obviously, you have different performance communities using the world too. You have you actually have a couple things, kind of showcasing one of them, which if I had watched a certain Metaverse DGen interview correctly, you have a few things with Corbell. You should go check out that Metaverse DGen interview, by the way. It was really good. But hi Lion. I know you're watching. But to kind of spring back into things, because obviously, with Furry Hideout, in its own right, it has hit major milestones when it comes to VRChat worlds in general. Because right now, where it stands, as we're recording this episode, on May 1st, yes, it's May 1st. It's currently sitting about 14.6 million visits, and it's just shy of 105,000 favorites. So I guess kind of one of the questions I wanted to ask, did you think that at any point that the world would blow up as much as it has?
I was very surprised that people actually used it. I'm very surprised now that people used it back then more than anything, because the world back then, unoptimized, it looked horrible, it wasn't the best looking, and then over time it's changed and it's got a lot better looking, it's prettier, more optimized, everything overall. I am very surprised. I'm pleased with how it's changed and how it's been generally updated and how people came in. It actually made it a home for them to actually explore and stay in.
Mm-hmm. So when it comes to like all the Easter eggs and stuff, you also do have some little hidden gems around the map as well. Like obviously one of them being a beloved floof of yours who had passed away. Which first and foremost, my condolences. I only found out recently. Um, so one of the things I do want to commend you is, because I've lost a pet about a year back, and I've always wondered what would be a good way to like commemorate it. So that is something I've thought of for my own world, um, because it at the end of the day, it's our pets mean a lot to us. You know what I mean? So I thought it was a really cool nod to, kind of permanently have a place where he'll be remembered. I thought that was really cool. I know that's a little sad. Sorry. It is what it is. But kind of
Dog's name was Shelly. He lived to 15. He lived a long, happy life. He died of old age. That's a young photo of him. He was a good boy.
Mm-hmm.
So
no, absolutely.
He's had a long, happy life. And I mean, holy shit, he was fat at one point. Oof, he was a little chonker.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. Real quick, just want to pause the episode right here. If you're enjoying what you're listening to, feel free to click that subscribe button down below. As of right now on the YouTube side, over 80% of the viewers are not currently subscribed. Just click that button right down below. But in all seriousness, if you want to support the podcast, feel free to join the VRC group at noved.6608. I'm going to be announcing some amazing events upcoming in the next couple months. I'm super excited to, get those underway. But of course, I do want to thank some of the supporters. For our monthly tippers, we have Sash Lilik and Lion Turtle. And for our supporters this time around, we have Elitament. So thank you all so much for supporting the podcast. And of course, if you join the VRC group, it does have options to subscribe on a monthly basis if you'd like. If not, just feel free to click that subscribe button. That enough means the world to me. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. And let's get back into the episode. Woo! So I guess kind of to go into the event side a little bit, because not only do you do stuff in VR, but you've also done some IRL stuff as well, like going to cons and stuff. So I guess kind of one of the questions I want to ask, what is that experience like, being a well-known world creator and going to these conventions? Like, what is that experience like?
It's actually pretty enjoyable. I get to rock around con and have people come up to me and be like, "Hey, I know you in VRChat," or "I've met you in VRChat," and then they show me their name tag, and it's like one of my friends I haven't seen for like 10 months. I'm like, oh, give them a hug and all that, and it's always an amazing experience to say hi to people that you probably wouldn't ever meet in any other capacity. And for example, we do events. We had a specific meetup over at AC where we did a Furry Hideout meet and greet, which we'll hopefully get another one this year. But around 300 people came out. We did a group photo. We did all this. Everybody said hi. They talked to me. They talked about the community. There's a lot of VR chatters within the furry community, and it's always nice to talk with them. It is. It shows that the community is more than just a screen with audio. It shows that there's a lot more than just you in the world.
No, absolutely. And it's kind of crazy to think about how many people will go to these conventions and actively participate not only in VR but also IRL stuff too. Because I mean, VRChat in its peak hours as of 2025 and late 2024, we're getting 100,000 plus players a day. So to kind of get those people to do IRL events too, that's practically unheard of when it comes to like bigger event organizations and stuff. Um, it just shows that VRChat really is a place where people can enjoy being themselves, within reason. I'm going to say it every time I say that, within reason. You know, but it's a really cool thing at the end of the day. Um, so I guess kind of to go a little bit into that a little bit. So obviously you've had the IRL events as well. So what is kind of speaking from someone who has experienced that, what are some of like the biggest highlights from kind of doing both VR and IRL side events?
So VR allows you to connect with people without spending loads of money. Well, we are spending a decent amount of money on the PC and all the computer software, but you can buy that once and then you can talk to people in Germany. You can talk to people wherever in the world and have a conversation and sit with them. For example, where are you at? If you mind telling me, what state you in?
Yeah, I'm in Missouri.
You're in Missouri. And I'm going to be honest, it's hella expensive for me to go to Chicago to Missouri. Just it is. Well, actually, never mind. You're right next to me, but like,
yeah, I was about to say,
still, like,
it's
a
4-hour
decent amount
drive.
of money for gas.
Yeah.
It's a 4-hour drive, plus some, give or take.
Yeah.
So like, those experiences. You're not the best example, but I got friends in Germany that like it would cost $1,000 to get a plane ticket just to visit them, and I would pay that in a heartbeat if I could, but I can't. All I got is VR headset. I can get on, watch movies with them. That's basically what we do IRL. We can sit down, talk, and have conversations, and that's the good stuff right there. And then the IRL positions of everybody going to one place for a convention. Oh my god, it's so enjoyable just having the ability to talk to people, especially people on VRChat, which I'm reiterating. But like my experiences with my staff team, for example, Mountain Man. You have interviewed Mountain Man. Wait, have you interviewed Mountain Man? You did.
Not. I have
No,
not.
you didn't. You need to interview him. But Metaverse G-Gen interviewed him, and he's a very very kind, sweet man. So the funny thing is, I threw out my back because I was crushed by a horse a decent amount of years ago, so my back's all fucked up. I threw out my back at AC Anthrocon in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I limped outside. I'm like, I sent a message in the group chat and said, "Hey, yo, can someone come help me out? I think I hurt myself." And 6 of my staff members came over to help me out, and they were so fucking nice. And then Mountain Man, he used to be at EMC, um, emergency medic, etc. And he just picked me up and got me to the bus and got me back and made sure I was safe and taken care of. He's such a sweet man. He actually took care of that situation very well because I could barely walk. And like just those little things, having those friends right next to you to help you out when you're down or when you're hurt, it's amazing. It's nice. People that came
Absolutely.
run into you when you're needing aid was very nice and changed the pace.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's really cool that you had, you can have people to essentially rely on and, get help, when it comes to that type of stuff, because everybody needs those type of people at the end of the day. So obviously, when it comes to, all the different types of communities, because honestly, there's a lot that use Furry Hideout. So, off the top of your head, what are some examples of some communities that are like really prevalent when it comes to your world?
Well, overall, there's definitely a bunch of healthy communities within Rome. Usually, there's a lot of them going in and out, where they host an instance one day or move to another world the next, and then come back. I wouldn't say they're overly prevalent. There's some very popular ones, but I don't think like there's one called Zephy Flus. They specifically do instances for EU time, so for all the European furs, etc. Um, and there are some prominent ones that are doing for the US times, but none that I think deserve enough promotion at the moment. Maybe in the future. Some they need to work on their moderation and generalized skills for working with people and dealing with trolls. Some of them get in trouble a hell of a lot. Some of them themselves have their own little issues. Not saying all groups are bad. I'm just saying most of them in the hideout are very interesting, and they need a little bit more time to develop before I could say, "Hey, yo, this one's a good group" or not.
That's fair. Everyone could improve in one way, shape, or another, to say the least. So I guess kind of to delve off of groups a little bit and kind of more into what you've been doing, because you, like you said, you did the VRChat takeover, you've done the New Year's events, but you're also one of the worlds that were chosen for the Graffiti Grab, that was a part of Project Community and VRChat. So I guess kind of one of the questions I wanted to ask you personally, so, what made you decide on the placements for your the graffiti eggs for the event?
I had like a day to actually get them enrolled. And then the next day I was going to go out for Easter and all that, go with family, go get a good dinner, etc. But I just kind of tossed them in there. There's no specific reason for where they were put. Some of them were similar to the spots that I chose last year, because it was a last minute thing. I was asked to do it last minute since someone else was dropped out from the actual event. So they messaged me, and I'm like, yeah, I'll go ahead and do it. So they're kind of in random spots to an extent.
That's fair. Because obviously with how big the world is, you can practically throw them anywhere. I know, I know some people that may have attended the event may have been angry at trying to find some of your. I know yours and I think Midnight Rooftop? I think it's yours and Midnight Rooftop, I think, where a lot of people were struggling to find the eggs. So it was definitely an interesting thing to kind of get some of the feedback. You didn't make it
So
easy.
the funny thing is, there was 4 in the main building, and then there was one sitting down in the cave, a singular one in the cave in the tent. And I didn't even hide them well. I just tossed them in and make sure they were in a specific spot, just so they were accessible and able to pick up. So I'm glad
Yeah.
people had issues with it because I did a good job.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll see you at Project Fest with Furry Hideout. This is the knock on wood situation. Um, but uh, So I guess kind of to go more in depth with the development side of things, because obviously, like you said, there was, roughly 1,000, if it's, not per version, roughly about 1,000 versions. So how much time, when you first started making the world, how much time would it take you to push out an update versus like now?
Okay, so I started everything on a little Vios laptop. It had like 8 gigabytes of RAM. No any, well, no crazy graphics card, no nothing. It was just a folding laptop where it folds and you have like a tablet. So it used to take 8 hours to bake light maps. Now it takes about 4 to 5 minutes, and oh, it's amazing how quickly I can get an update out now. It's nice being able to work with those systems and actually have a system that can handle what I'm doing to it. It's definitely became a lot easier. It's usually small fixes for updates and very minuscule changes after updates. Recently, we've added more systems related to the creator economy for the video player, etc. So there's a neat full area with a video player. It'll be getting more new stuff in the future. Also, if you've been in the hideout recently, there's been small things changing, specifically within the shape of the building and the way it looks, because I want to modernize it, because it itself still holds the old aesthetic of the world. It still holds the blocky nature of the world, and I want to change that. I want to branch out into a more modern-esque architecture.
No, absolutely. It's always good to like change things up a little bit and make it more modernized. Um, so obviously, I kind of forgot to mention this when we talked about it earlier during the VRChat takeover. So I kind of want to delve back just a little bit. So obviously, one of the biggest things when it came to the VRChat takeover, at least from your side of things, was the rat cave. Which
The rat cave.
yeah. So out of curiosity, I have to know what kind of inspired you to make that. Essentially, what drove you to make the rat cave?
So the rat cave was specifically made within 8 hours. I was watching Castlevania, and I'm like, we need a meeting spot for all the rat world, because we did meetings to make people engage, get people together to like converse about what they're doing with their world. So I started the meetups within the VRChat's staff meeting room, where they have a bunch of stuff, and we just talked back and forth. And I'm like, we need a meeting spot. We need a meeting space. I made one really quickly, and PD animated the big guy that's in the back. I have a couple of videos of a couple of our small little meetings, our little fun stuff. We did roll hops, etc. That was specifically made to be a cult room to show off the stuff people were working on. For example, PD's animations, pens are in there, but some of the art's in there, the banners, a couple other systems that relate to the rats were in that world. And like cult church stuff, that was not added until later during the update. So like it itself was just a funny little thing of, hey, the rat's tied up and he's going to be set free, and we're cultists doing stuff to actually get the rat set free. So that was kind of the kind of funny thing about it. And I posted stuff about it that people didn't really notice before the actual event as a warning.
Yeah, that's fair. Um, well, yeah, like I was saying earlier, hopefully we'll see more, collaborative VR chat events come forward, because from what I've heard through the grapevine, they are very interested in doing more stuff like that in the future. Which is really cool. That's a really big thing for VR chat, because obviously, at the end of the day, it is a community, of creators and passionate, artists and whatever the case may be. So it's really cool to see that they're kind of pushing that towards the the main platform itself. Um, so I guess kind of to wrap things up in a sense when it comes to that, um, was there was there any idea after the whole, VR rat invasion, was there anything that at the end of the day that you would have done differently with the event, like in a general sense?
I'm gonna be honest, it went the best it could have went. There was only like I'm gonna be honest, there's only a couple of things that went wrong, but they were easily fixed. I was a little bit rushed on organization, and got a little bit of issues with that, but overall it wasn't too bad. Um, I would probably invite a little bit more of the player base because we only had 100 people. 100's enough, but we had people complaining that they weren't involved. We only talked to people that were close to us, we had friends with, and then we allowed those people to invite other people to come in. So it was mostly people that were involved within the creator economy and a couple other discords I can't remember about. But when you sit in there and someone comes in and says hi, and they're a real creator, we're like, yo, you seem like a nice guy. I think you should be able to join us. We wanted people to interact with us so we can invite them in. So we just sat in VC and seeing who would pop in and who would be interested. And it was nice bringing everybody in.
No, absolutely.
Basically, the people that were not shy, the people that wanted to stick their head in and see what's up, they got invited. And some other players were lucky enough to get invited.
Yeah, of course. Well, that's cool, man. So I guess kind of one of the questions, kind of to get off the rats, finally. Yeah, I know we're talking about the rats again, but to get
We
off
love
the
the
rats.
rats. I love the rats.
Sorry, I'm still here. I'm just wiping my eyes because my eyes just started burning all. Can't have nothing.
Continue.
So now we're interviewing. Now we're interviewing the VR rat. No, we're not. We're not actually.
Man, I'm easy. Excuse that. That's not a blooper. You're keeping that in. All
right, we'll keep that one in. But so I guess kind of one of the questions, because you've been making the world, for so long, you've been doing so many updates. So I guess kind of to go into a different topic then, in that regard, because obviously you've been around the VRChat platform for quite a long time. So for those who are maybe interested in making worlds, making like hangout spots, what is like one piece of advice you can give them for anybody who's wanting to make, those type of worlds?
Well, you can make anything you want. So I recommend a couple tools. These are going to be my little bits of advice. I recommend you use VR Real Toolkit. That system is very helpful. It shows you what you can do to optimize what's the common systems, common setups. It'll give you a rundown of how stuff might be affecting performance, and you could press a button and it'll auto fix that. It helped me a hell of a lot, especially when it comes to optimizing for Quest. Also, Pro Builder, if you don't want to do Blender related stuff, you can use Pro Builder to make a lot of stuff. For example, the Furry Hideout's made out of Pro Builder objects. It itself is just a 3D modeling tool that also has a UV editor, so you can honestly do a hell of a lot with it. Let me think. I know there's one more little addition that will help you a lot. This is up to you. Bakery, really nice for light mapping. It helps a hell of a lot with specific light maps as long as you have it set up. Use xAtlas everywhere and make sure your light maps are one consolidated light map so it's more optimized overall. You'll know what I mean in the future.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'll say there's a lot of things when it comes to like the technical side. So it's always kind of good to understand what other people use in that regard, because everyone does things different. Not every world creator does it the exact same. You mentioned Pro Builder. Not everybody uses Pro Builder. Um, there's a lot of tools out there and tutorials out there to help people now, which wasn't always the case. You've been around for a while now, like it wasn't always like that. We've had SDK changes and things were a lot more difficult. Now there's a lot of tools to help. So yeah, that's definitely some amazing, tips and stuff in that regard. So I guess kind of to talk a little bit more about like the future, because obviously you've been doing this for, I believe 3, or you said 4 years. It'll be the 4-year anniversary 3 days ago, correct?
It's the 4-year anniversary. I played
We're
VRChat
we're
for approximately 5 years now.
yeah, we're recording this on May 1st, just for reference. Um, but well, yeah, I'll say, is there any major plans coming up, for the Furry Hideout, that maybe people should be potentially keeping their eyes on?
Well, we always have the New Year's event. We also plan to unveil some new things in the future. We have a lot planned with other communities and a bunch of really exciting stuff. I'm gonna leave it so people can think about what we're planning to do. But we have a lot of stuff planned with a good group of people, so we're gonna have a lot of fun in the future. That's all I can say at the time at this moment.
No, fair enough. I'll say, gotta keep them guessing. That's totally fair. Well, that's what's up, man. So I guess actually one of the questions I did want to ask, this is kind of an overall thing, because out of all the names in the world, you chose Furry Hideout. Was there any names that, you thought about naming the world, before it became Furry Hideout?
Uh, so the first name of the furry hideout was actually named. Don't hate me for this. It was called Furry Chill. It was stupid, unoriginal compared to another world called Furry Talk and Chill. It was just called Furry Chill because I couldn't find a decent name for it. It was just a temporary name. And then we were talking back and forth. Me and a bunch of other people were just discussing names. I forgot their name, but they were like, "A Furry Hideout sounds good." I'm like, "Furry Hideout or Hangout? Let's choose one." I'm like, "I like Hangout better, but Hideout also works. It has a little bit more of a ring to it." Um, Either way, it's going to be acronym just FH. So we just held a little vote, and then it ended up being Furry Hideout after that.
That's fair. I mean, yeah, it's as somebody who's working on a big event coming in a few months. It took me forever to find a name for it. Like it took me probably about 2 months to figure out what I want to call it. Haha, another teaser. That's teaser number 2 for those that are counting and watching all the episodes. But it's not easy to create a name, so I was always curious. What because a lot of world creators, you have like the Black Cat with Spooky Ghost Boo, you have all of these worlds that are well known across VRChat. It's always just kind of an interesting thing on the creative side of like what kind of gave it the name. So, I guess kind of to go a little off topic a little bit. Um, so obviously you've been around for so long. You've been exploring VRChat for years now. What is one world, in your personal opinion, that is always going to hold a dear place in your heart? Because obviously there's a lot out there, but is there like one particular world or maybe a couple of worlds that you personally recommend any new or veteran VRChat player to like check out?
So my two favorite worlds, just due to the vibe and the way they're actually set up and the care that the creators put into it, I would say high use worlds, the ones that he creates and makes. He's the main creator for Ferality. I have a lot of respect for the guy because he does an amazing job. He's a very sweet guy. He's also doing a documentary called what was it called again? The Reality of Hope on Documentaries Plus. Really sweet guy. He actually got a kidney from one of his friends on VRChat due to his
Oh,
situation
wow.
with his current kidney. Well, not his current kidney, his previous kidney. Sorry, I'm getting my kidneys messed up. Silly me. But he's a really sweet man. He does a really good job, and just the feel of his worlds are always so nice and extraordinary. That and Luminescent Ledge by Thorian.
Yeah, that one always holds a good place. It's definitely a beautiful world that still to this day is a very fun place to take people. Um, can't speak too much on the Ferality side. I have seen some of the worlds in the past, but um, never been to like any of the
I
actual Ferality
specifically,
events.
I specifically love the Aqua one. He did such a good job on that. Him and his team.
hmm
Just the
Um,
music, the intro. Oh, just hits.
yeah, maybe 1 year I'll go to virality. We'll see. Maybe 1 year. Um, I'm always just that time of year is such a busy time of year for me between project community and VCAT, and now this year I'm going to be exhibiting at Furryhideout, which is like the Latin America community of VRChat. Um, it's yeah, it's just a busy fucking time, and couldn't, I losing my job on April 2nd. I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna go to Ferality, unfortunately, money, ah, but it happens. It's part of life. But so obviously, I guess kind of one of the things because you've worked with so many creators and stuff. Um, what I guess one of the final questions I want to ask in this regard, what is like one of the biggest things when it comes to working with different people, um in your eyes, like what's one of the biggest, or not biggest, what's one of the coolest things about working with other creators, I guess is what I was trying to say. Man, words are hard today.
Well, like I'm gonna be honest, a lot of the creators I meet, they're actually very approachable, very easy to talk to, extremely nice and sweet. So like just experiencing stuff with them. For example, if we're going to roast together and we're all chilling, everybody's just as popular as the other person. So no one's fanboying over each other. They're just unfiltered, conversing with each other, being funny, not being a general persona that they show in public or when people are harassing them in the world. They're just chilling, having fun. It's nice to see that side because remember, we're still people at the end of the day. We still are allowed to have fun in our own spaces, etc.
No, fair enough. And 100% agree with you. Like a lot of the people I've had on my podcast, granted, I'm not a big creator by any means, but I enjoy talking to people because at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure that might have been heard in my microphone. You gotta rev your motorcycle engine now of all times. Thanks. Um,
I didn't hear it.
yeah, knowing OBS, it may or may not have picked it up. Um, but but obviously, like some of the creators I've had on, they're creators of the biggest worlds, but at the end of the day, they're just people. They're creative people who like to enjoy what they make and have fun on this platform, and that's a really wholesome thing. You know, it's it's a very nice thing to say the least. Um, but yeah. Um, well, I mean, realistically, we're just right about out of time. Actually, funny enough, um, yeah. Besides, like all the Steam VR crashes I've had, like it didn't really feel like a little over an hour. So,
Hey,
well,
it's up to you if you got more questions. I got time. I don't
yeah,
think Yoshi's gonna hit me right away.
that's fine. But yeah, we'll blame Steam VR for the issues on this episode. Um, so, well, I guess in that case, I'll give you another final question then. In that case, um, so obviously, when it came to going between different Unity versions and VRChat SDKs, obviously there was a lot of changes in that regard. Was there any struggle between going from different versions of like the Unity platform and SDKs, or was it pretty seamless like throughout?
So when it comes to like all the updates over the years from VRChat, there's been very little issues specifically relating to the SDKs. Over time, it's been kind of a back and forth of once in a while it might break due to a different program or a bad packed file sent to your friend that he was also going to use, and then it ended up breaking his project. A little bit of funnies. But usually what causes me the most issue when it comes to changing or updating stuff is the damn pool table. I'm sorry, VRC billiards or the pool community. The VRC pool table always has issues within my world. The only version that works is the Community 2 version. It's the only version that doesn't break my project. So that's basically it. VRChat's been doing pretty decent when it comes to updates. As long as you have a little bit of know-how and you know how to properly update the SDK when you move to a new version, you shouldn't have a problem.
No, fair enough. Um, but yeah, no, thank you so much for coming on and, you know, letting me get to learn a little bit more about you and like all the world stuff. It's really cool to have you on.
It was really enjoyable just being here and talking with you, especially each time you crashed. It was kind of funny. I'm sorry.
All right. Fair enough. Yeah.
3 for 3. 3 for 3.
3 for 3.
3.
Yeah.
3 for 3.
3 times. Steam Link, you got to update your stuff, man. It wasn't like this. You put out an update like 3 days ago and it broke everything. But before we
definitely
do
struggle.
Yeah. But before we do end things off, I do want to give you a chance to tell the people where they can find you, any links you want on screen in the description, all that stuff. But yeah, tell the people where they can find you. Yeah.
You could easily find me on Twitter, and you can also find the community Discord at discord.gg/Furryhideout. Overall, we'll be around. I'll see you, and if you ever see me in public, don't be afraid to say hi.
Fair enough. And of course, all the links will be down into the description as well. So make sure to go check all that out. The VRC group, the Discord, all that stuff. So make sure you go check all that out. But yeah, thank you again for coming on. And hopefully Steam VR won't crash when we're doing all the thumbnails and stuff. But anyways, hopefully you all enjoyed listening to this episode. This has been episode 65. Yes. Of the Noved Notes podcast. I want to thank you all for listening, watching, depending on what platform you're on. Comment down below, what is your favorite section or area of the Furry Hideout? Comment that down below. Let us know what's your favorite area. And of course, if you are coming back to watch some of the other episodes, feel free to hit that subscribe button. You're already coming back anyways. But with that, I want to thank y'all one last time for watching, listening, depending on which of the platforms you're on. And I will see you in the next episode. Take care and peace.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to NovedPlayer.